Hi, welcome to Get Strong with Kaizzad. Today's episode is dedicated to an actual back exercise called as the Bento Row. As is the pattern with all my episodes, we'll first see a 5-repper done by Kamlesh in the barbell Bento Row. So watch it, and then afterwards I'll draw your attention to the details. Kamlesh, 5 reps on the barbell Bento Row. Okay, now what I want you to notice is that I had mentioned it in one of my episodes. I hope you all remember it. It's always gratifying for a teacher to know that people remember what the teacher has spoken in earlier classes. When it's a free weight, it has to move perpendicular to the floor, 90 degrees to the floor. Any object, when it is lifted by a person, the object should be moving straight up and down. Now, what you saw Kamlesh doing is the simple act of pulling an object towards the torso against gravity, right? And obviously that's going to enhance the strength of pulling, correct? Pulling requires, again, a compound movement. It requires a movement at the shoulder. The movement is called as shoulder extension, and it requires bending of the elbow, which is called as elbow flexion. So you require your shoulder extensors, which happens to be your latissimus dorsi, and your elbow flexors, which happens to be the biceps, to be able to pull something towards you. Now what you're going to see is the setup for the Bento Row. So basically he'll have to pick the barbell up. So he'll have to basically deadlift the barbell up to a standing position. So he again gets back into that launch position of the deadlift, right? And he stands up with the weight, right? Now he stood up with the weight. Now he's going to get into the launch position of the Bento Row. Now I remember telling you all a few episodes back, and it would give me great pleasure to know that you all still remember it, that in weight training, whenever we bend over, we never bend over by bringing the shoulder forward. We bend over by actually moving the hip back. So watch that again. It's called as the Hip Hinge. So Kamlesh deadlifts the weight up with a supine grip. Okay, and now he's going to get into the Bento Row position where the torso will be almost parallel to the floor. He's going to get into that position not by bringing his shoulders forward, but by pushing his hip back, by hinging his hip. See that? So the hip is actually moved back. This is how you maintain center of gravity within the base of support, and you maintain stability. If his hip did not travel back, Kamlesh, put the weight down. Most people bend over like this. Okay? And that is why they get problems with the lumbar. So the correct way of bending over is not by bringing your shoulders forward. The correct way of bending over is by pushing the hip back. That's how you bend over. What that does is that the hip flexes, but the spine remains neutral. Now in the lumbar, the lower back, the spine has an inward curvature called as a lordotic curvature. Okay? When you bend over correctly, bent over row, remember? So when you bend over correctly, you achieve the bent over position by pushing the hip back. What that does is that the lumbar spine remains intact, in neutral, maintaining its lordotic curvature. So don't let anybody tell you that doing exercises under load in a bent over row condition is going to screw up your back. It screws up your back because you don't know how to be in a bent over position, because you all don't maintain center of gravity, because you all achieve the Bento Row position by bringing the shoulders forward. You all achieve Bento Row position by flexing the spine and not by flexing the hip. Never ever start a movement without first taking in a huge, humongous breath. You've seen that with every exercise that I've demonstrated. Again, now start the set off, okay? But I want you to pause in the start position. So he's going to pause in the start position once he gets that start position, so that it registers in your brain that this is the point from which the Bento Row starts. Approach. Hip width stance. Toes pointed straight forward. Bend over to grab the bar with a supine grip. Shoulder width grip. Neutral spine. Deadlift the weight up to standing position. Then via the hip hinge, get to the start position of the Bento Row. Go. Okay, and start. Perfect. Done. Now you saw the first 5 reps. Now Kamlesh is going to try and mimic what people normally do in the gym in the name of a Bento Row. Watch. You see that? Do you see the bar going at a tangent? Okay, basically what you saw is that Kamlesh is going in a tangential fashion. Actually, the movement is up and down, straight, in the line of gravity. Now when Kamlesh pushes it forward, it's not your lats taking the bar ahead, it is your anterior deltoid that actually pushes the bar ahead. You see, you're dislodging the pathway of the movement and you're creating an abnormal pathway for the bar. Why do people do that? And let me tell you that since this is the back series, the maximum mistakes in form and technique are made in the back. Okay, I have not seen more mistakes being made, and one of the reasons for the mistakes is that people actually think that they use barbells and dumbbells as some kind of tools to shape and carve the body. So let's assume that somebody wants the lats to really come out. You'll find them doing these things with a dumbbell also. You'll see some funny movements like this. Okay, because what they feel is that if they feel that tug or if they feel that stretch on the lats is going to come out. Well, I need to inform you that the lats are not hiding inside. They don't need to be pulled out. The lats need to be given work. They need to be given a load on their function. What is their function? If my hand is here, to bring my humerus back is the function of the latissimus dorsi. So to overload that function, I need to keep a dumbbell in my hand or a barbell in my hand, bend over so that I'm pulling against gravity and simply pull. That's it. And if I only pull, the bar will travel in a straight line. If the bar is not traveling in a straight line, let's assume that I was to see the movement from here, and if I was to view the barbell from the profile, the bar should be moving up and down in a straight line. If it's not moving up and down in a straight line, you're doing something weird, you're doing something funny. You're using bad biomechanics. This is the correct form. And again, watch the pathway of the bar. It'll be perfectly perpendicular to the floor. That's it. So once again, this is what a correct Bento Row looks like. If you've liked the knowledge that I've dispensed in these videos, then definitely do subscribe to TheHealthSite.com.